Ever feel like you're juggling, I don't know, flaming bowling pins? Or maybe herding cats while writing a novel all at the same time?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think we've all been there. That feeling of being pulled in a million directions, trying to manage multiple projects at once can definitely get overwhelming.
It's the ultimate balancing act, right? So today we're doing a deep dive into 5 tips for balancing multiple projects. And believe me, these aren't your typical run-of-the-mill productivity hacks.
Hmm.
We're going beyond just surviving. We're talking about thriving.
Absolutely. Even when it feels like you've got a million tabs open in your
A
brain.
million tabs, I like that. Okay, so this guide jumps right into the heart of the matter with its very first tip, prioritization, which I have to admit can sometimes feel like the hardest part.
It's definitely a common struggle.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times we get caught up in just reacting to whatever feels most urgent in the moment.
Oh, 100%. Like that email that just came in, urgent. That big project due next month. I could probably push that off for a bit.
Right, exactly. But the real key here is to think about tasks not just in terms of urgency, but also importance. So urgent tasks, those are the ones screaming for your attention right now, like the deadlines, the fires you've got to put out.
Gotcha.
But important tasks, those are the ones that contribute to your long-term goals and your overall vision, even if they don't have that same sense of urgency.
Okay, so like, let's say I have a presentation due tomorrow, definitely urgent. But I also really want to start this online course that could help me level up my skills. That's important, but it
Mhm.
doesn't have that same sense of, oh my gosh, the world will end if I don't do this right now feeling.
Exactly. And that's where this tip really clicked for me. It's about finding a balance between those two. And one tool I find really helpful for this is the Eisenhower matrix.
Eisenhower matrix. Tell me more.
It's a simple framework where you basically categorize tasks based on whether they're urgent and important, important but not urgent, urgent but not important, and then, of course, neither urgent nor important.
Oh, that's actually super helpful. I can already see how that would be useful for visually mapping things out.
Yeah, it can be a game changer for figuring out where to focus your energy. Now, this next tip feels almost like a superpower, and it's something I think a lot of us, myself included, can struggle with.
Oh, I know this one. The power of no.
Yes, it's so easy to fall into the trap of wanting to please everyone and saying yes to everything.
Oh, tell me about it.
But remember, you are not superhuman, and trying to do everything will just end up spreading yourself way too thin.
It's like trying to juggle those flaming bowling pins while riding a unicycle on a tightrope, like we were talking about earlier. Something's got to give.
Exactly. And it's usually your own well-being that suffers if you don't set boundaries.
That reminds me of this one time I took on way too many freelance projects because I thought, yeah, I can handle it. I can do it all. Let's just say I learned the hard way that sleep is important.
We've all been there. But the good news is that setting boundaries doesn't have to mean being rude or letting people down. A simple phrase like, hey, that sounds really interesting, but right now I'm swamped with your current priority, can work wonders.
Yeah, I love that. It's direct, but it also shows that you're not just brushing them off.
Exactly. Okay, shifting gears to tip number 3, delegation. Now, this one can feel like a dream, especially if you're used to doing everything yourself.
Delegation. Okay, so I think I'm guilty of struggling with this one. Sometimes it just feels easier to do everything myself.
I totally get it. It can feel like you're giving up control, or like it might take longer to explain it to someone else than to just do it yourself.
That's exactly what happens in my brain.
But here's the thing. Delegation isn't about just dumping tasks on other people. It's about empowering your team and freeing yourself up to focus on what you do best.
That's a good point.
So if you do have a team, take a look at your to-do list and ask yourself, what tasks can I realistically hand off to someone else? Look for things that align with their skills and their interests, and then provide them with clear instructions and the support they need to succeed.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's less about getting things off your plate and more about strategically sharing the load.
Exactly. Okay, moving on to tip number 4, and this one is all about organization.
Ooh, organization. Something I aspire to be better at, I'll admit. My desk might or might not look like a tornado hit it sometimes.
Okay, there's no judgment here. The good news is there's no one right way to be organized. The key is finding a system that works for you. So whether that's a fancy project management app, a simple to-do list, or even just sticky notes plastered all over your monitor.
Okay, you're speaking my language now.
Find what works for you and stick with it. The most important thing is that you have a system for keeping track of everything so nothing falls through the cracks.
So true. Okay, on to our final tip, number 5. Review and adjust. So this sounds like it's all about being flexible and adapting as you go, right?
Exactly, because even with the best planning and organization, things change. Deadlines shift, new projects pop up, and sometimes those urgent tasks end up taking priority over the important ones.
It happens.
It does. So building in regular check-ins with yourself to review your workload is key. Maybe it's once a week, maybe it's every other week. But set aside some time to ask yourself, what's working? What needs to change? Are my priorities still aligned with my goals?
So it's like fine-tuning your juggling act as you go.
That's a great way to put it. And don't be afraid to adjust your approach based on what you learn.
So there you have it. 5 tips for conquering the chaos and finding a sense of balance amidst the whirlwind of multiple projects. As you navigate your own juggling act, remember those key takeaways. Prioritize like a pro, embrace the power of no, delegate strategically, find your organizational groove, and always, always review and adjust.
And remember, you don't have to be perfect at all of these things all the time. Start small, find what works for you, and celebrate those small victories along the way.
I love that. It's all about progress, not perfection. Now, I'm curious, which of these tips resonated with you the most? And what's one small step you can take today to reclaim a little bit of calm in your day? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time.